Welcome to Meaningful Mornings. The United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees shared their 2021 global trend. And here are some figures for you to reflect upon. In 2011, there was less than 40 million people in the world who were forcibly displaced from their home. Focused on the forcibly displaced due to war, due to violence. In 2021, 10 years later, 1 decade, that number has grown to 82.4 million people. More than double. Of this 82.4 million, 4.2 million are considered stateless. Stateless means they're not a citizen of any country. And the implication of this is they're not treated as humans. As a Canadian citizen, I have the rights of a Canadian citizen, correct? But if I'm not a citizen of any country, then I'm treated that way. This is a devastating report that shows how collectively we are not living in the right way. And this gives even more meaning to Meaningful Mornings, where we are exposed to the right actions with the right attitude. In verse 45, Shri Krishna shares with Prince Arjuna, Nitya Sattva Staha. Not only should your philosophy be noble, but your lifestyle should be noble too. In verse 46, Shri Krishna shares the fulfillment of this means is that you go beyond sattva. You reach the ends. And do note verse 46, because this is the seed for verse 55, a powerful section of Bhagavad Gita where characteristics of those who have reached the ends is shared. In verse 47, Shri Krishna gives us a most practical analysis of how to make our vision and lifestyle sattvic, noble. I'm going to review verse 47 backwards. In the fourth quarter, Mate Sangaha Astu Akarmani. The simple way to remember this, Ma means no. No inaction. No inaction. No laziness. Why? What is the logic of this? I had shared yesterday, inaction is the greatest enemy to society. Just think of the refugee number I shared with you. Those who are privileged like us have to be activated so that there are not people who are stateless, who are not refugees. Swami Tejomayananda further shared, those who engage in inaction, they generate the hatred of others towards them. And he specifically used the word hatred. Many of us are engaged in service, in seva. When you're working hard and smart, and if you become tired and you see someone who's doing nothing, don't you become uncomfortable with them? You don't want to be around them. Maybe it devolves to disliking them. Yes. Like when you work with me, I keep telling you what to do. I'm the supervisor, correct? So you become uncomfortable with me. You start to dislike me because I don't do anything. I just boss you around. Inaction is wasting the opportunity that we have to evolve. No inaction. The third quarter. Ma karma phala hetur bhuhu. Again, the word ma is used, which means no selfishness. No selfishness. The reason why we should engage in action is with the intention of evolution. Why does Vivek act? I should have the intention that this is my opportunity to evolve. You will know that you're becoming more selfless if the choices you make, you're shifting them to preferences rather than insistence. If I insist that I want to do this and I want to get this, there is selfishness. If I prefer to do this to get this, that shows that I'm closer to that selflessness. A framework for you to think about this. To engage in self-harm, as in harming myself, physically, mentally, that is tamasic. To engage in selfishness, where I am the only beneficiary, that is rajasic. And to engage in selflessness, where you are the beneficiary, that is sattvic. Remember what we're doing. We're trying to practice a vision and lifestyle of sattva. How? No inaction, no selfishness. Second quarter. Ma paleshu kadachana. Ma, another no. No deservership. No deservership. Why? Because the results are not in your control and they are not in the present. There's no point in focusing on the results because they're not in control, they're not in the present. When we engage in the right actions in the right way, this will naturally facilitate the rights of others. So much of our society focuses on rights and not responsibilities. Do you agree? Just read the newspaper. But if we all engage in the right actions with the right attitude means no deservership. Everyone's rights will be facilitated. Everyone will have opportunity. Everyone will have equality. Why there's a lack of opportunity and equality is because of this sense of deservership. I have a right to this. When we live by no deservership, this checks our ego. Our ego is always engaged in dependent joy. And when I'm living by no deservership, I'm dismantling that dependency. Yesterday, I referenced how in Sanatana Dharma, we don't have a word for volunteering. Seva means service, correct? Seva does not mean volunteering. because what I do should be for you anyways. You may join me for meaningful mornings for, say, 20 minutes. I probably invest an hour of study for myself. And I've gone through Bhagavad Gita many times. It is my good fortune. The revelation that I had yesterday, if one is not living for others, one will never be enlightened. And some of you may be thinking, but that's so rigorous. Independent joy. Can you even imagine such a reward? The rigor involved is very little compared to the reward of independent joy. Your whole life has to be given up to creation. And if you are living for yourself even 1%, you are feeling separate from creation. That is ego. Rigorously, nitya sattva staha. And the first quarter, karmani eva adhikaraha te. Eva here means yes. Ma, no, no, no. Eva, yes. Yes to what? Responsibility. Yes to responsibility. Your regular responsibilities are in your control and they are in the present. Agreed? Results are the exact opposite, out of control and out of the present. When we are engaged in our responsibility, we enter this self-reward system that I'm living for you, but I'm the one who's evolving. Karma yoga is known as the intention path. Personally, as a younger parent, young, old is very relative, so I'll say younger. Without this bhava or feeling that me being a husband or me being a father is my regular responsibility, marriage is misery and parenting is torture. And I'm sharing this as an optimist. We all know each other well enough. I'm not here crying myself to sleep and treating this as therapy. I'm sharing in an overt way without this sense of this is my regular responsibility, just misery and torture. But with this bhava, with this attitude, this all becomes sadhana. This all becomes a means. When I started serving Chinmay Mission in 2008, and Chinmay Mission Niagara had purchased a vehicle because I was driving so much. It was a '08 Honda Civic, and I renamed it Kartavya. Get it? Kartavya, Kartavya. Because this was a means to get me to my, my responsibilities. So driving became quite enjoyable. We will quickly flow through verse 48 and engage in our constant review as we always do. Verse 48 is a restatement of verse 47. Yogastha kuru karmani sangam tyaktva dhananjaya siddhya siddhyo samo bhutva samatvam yoga uchyate. Quickly. Yoga staha kuru karmani. In your actions, you should be established with the intention that this is yoga, an opportunity to evolve. Sangam tyaktva dhananjaya. Prince Arjuna, you are Dhananjaya, you're already fortunate. So sangam tyaktva. Whatever comes from your actions, that is the results. Don't depend on them. You're already lucky. Why do you need more luck? Siddha, asiddha, samo bhutva. The results that will come from your action, some will be successful, some will be a failure. Treat them as the same. How can you treat them as the same? Only if you like and love what you do. Then it doesn't matter what comes from what you do. Samatvam yoga uchyate. Yoga is also known as samatvam, which means balance. This is the simple introduction to this verse. We'll elaborate more tomorrow. From inspiration to application, your application yesterday was reflecting on how you're planning to be happy. Here's my observation. I was quite excited that our year-long courses were going to be completed, because then in summer, I would have some downtime. And I have found since May 20th, summer has become even more demanding. I have less time than during the year. Now I'm looking forward to our year-long courses. But the lesson for me is there is always going to be a demand. Autumn, summer, it doesn't matter. Being a young parent, being an old parent, it doesn't matter. So I have to work harder and smarter to be happy, because this is in my control in the present. Your application for this morning, every time you use the label towards anything, towards anyone, I want you to put a label on yourself. So suppose I say, it's so beautiful today, I should mark myself. Maybe on my forearm, I'll put a bindi there. Yes? That's what I want you to do. You got it? Every time you use a label, you mark yourself. If you really want to be courageous, put that label on your face so everyone can see. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Be safe, be sound, be serene, be happiness.